Sam, so let's talk about this new presidential administration and what does it mean to our immigrant population here in HISD?
Well, we started getting a lot of phone calls as soon as the results were known the following day. A lot of family members wanted to know just that, what's going to happen to us. And so we've been fielding a lot of questions from the general public. So for example, with HISD, we don't ask when a parent is registering, are you here legally or illegally? We don't have any documentation. We don't keep documentation like that. So our emphasis continues to be based on the current law, based on current policies, right? But we're also being very honest in saying, however, as with any law, those are subject to change.
Okay. Does HISD share any of its information with other governmental agencies?
Not at all. And since we don't gather anything about whether you're legal or not, there's no information to gather. When we do share information, it's with the parent's consent. And that usually is like, when a child is being tested for special services, et cetera, but it's always with parental consent.
What does HISD do to ensure that students are not discriminated against or feel like they're unsafe on the campus?
We've done a lot. I mean, as recent as passing the anti-bullying policy, right? We take a very, very hard stance on every one of our children, regardless of race, of background, language ability. You need to feel safe at every one of our schools. So we're very, very strict about ensuring kids feel very safe and parents feel very safe and comfortable in continuing to make us their school choice.
Earlier you said parents are calling and they want information. Where can our parents go or call to get information on this topic?
Well, if it's school related, it's go to your school, speak to the principal. We've seen where parents have come in requesting, can I get a copy of my child's folder? Usually that's done when you're going to move from one school to another. But we've seen a large increase in parents that are coming in. So if it's a school related item, please go to your school principal. When we've gotten several phone calls that pertain to themselves individually. We keep encouraging them, meet with an immigration attorney because they'll be able to provide you with more information regarding the current federal laws.
Okay, I'm going to flip the page here. Recently, you've been named as Deputy Superintendent.
That's correct.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you see yourself in this new role.
Well, I've been with the district now 29 years, okay? Started off as a third grade bilingual teacher. Really enjoyed it, went into the upper grades, fifth grade. Then eventually it was a content mastery program where I was able to serve students with special needs and use both my English, my Spanish, my sign language. So as I continued really learning on how to become a strong teacher, I was also very curious about what the administrative side would be like. So I started my studies and went on, received my mid-management certification, and became an assistant principal at Gallegos Elementary. Enjoyed that so much that I thought, okay, let me try the principalship, and was very fortunate that I served two incredible communities, very different, Port Houston Elementary and Roberts Elementary. And I think it's with having been able to firsthand see that one is not easier than the other. They have challenges, they just look very differently. And from there, I was fortunate in that I was selected to be an executive principal at that time. They're called school support officers now, but I worked in the east side with the Fur feeder pattern and the Milby feeder pattern. And from there, it seemed like the responsibility just kept growing to interim regional, to chief at one time over all elementaries, and then average about 60, and then to the current position, which is helping the superintendent with all 283 schools.
Well, you're very humble in your recanting. I'm sure many people saw what's in you, and again, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
In your new role, what do you see as your interest here in HISD? What interests or what areas are you looking at?
Well, First and foremost, obviously, is student achievement. You know, making sure that our students are so well prepared that whether it's going the career way or it's going to the university or to their community college of their choice, but that we focus on just that we've provided them with such a rich just experience that they can make a choice, that they're not stuck in just one pathway, but that we truly provide them with the knowledge, the skill set, the grit. You know, that's not part of our curriculum, but we also want very tenacious, very students with confidence pursuing what they want to pursue.
You know, a lot has been made here in recent months about the IR schools, the improvement required schools. What are we doing to shore that up and improve those schools?
We're really looking at all the state plans, you know, how they were written. Actually, we welcomed a visit from TEA because they wanted to come and visit one of our high schools that is a stage 5. And it wasn't like, what are you doing wrong? But it was like, we really want to come and see, how do you use our forms? You know, are our forms, is our support really enough? So it was more like a fact-finding to try to help shape policy. That kind of partnership we really, really welcome. So what is HISD doing? Aside from looking at the plans, it's like, how do we ensure that these principals that are leading these schools have the appropriate support? These schools didn't get into being improvement required overnight. You know, sometimes it took 2, 3, 4 years, so it can't be corrected overnight. So we're looking at, some schools are very, very similar. They share a problem of practice. How can we strategically, regardless of which chief they're under, if the problem of practice is the same one, then we should tackle it as a whole district instead of being separate and chief over the north tackles those, chief over the south tackles those. So we're coming together in a true effort as a team HISD to address those problems. And we know the board has been tremendous in, like, literacy by 3 is a huge initiative that hopefully in the future is going to prevent many schools from going IR. If we get the students early, reading on level, and we always say not even on level. On level gets you to finish high school. Reading above grade level, that gets you into the university. So now it's moved up to literacy in the middle, and now we really have to tackle our high school students that may be 3, 4 grade levels behind in reading.
Lastly, I'd like to talk to you, just a quick, your opinion on how HISD is situated nationally.
You know, it's not until you go to national conferences that you realize, wow, so many people are keeping their eye on us. Being the largest school district in Texas and, you know, the largest one in the Houston area, we tend to hear a lot of negative, right, from the naysayer, or one incident happens and people think that's over the entire district. So when we travel nationally and go and present, we have so many people asking us, can we come visit? You're way ahead of others in the dual language school, the expansion, the moving from just Spanish to Mandarin to Arabic and now French. And so they're monitoring and they're following our growth. You know, how are you doing it? How do you convince parents? How do you let them know that speaking more than one language is now really should be a norm, right? It shouldn't be just a privilege. Our Power Up initiative, we just had another incredible meeting with our team to have every student in high school with their own laptop. So as we're walking and we're seeing how does this translate into instruction, we're working very closely now with academics. You know what, we have new teachers every year. So what does new training look like for new teachers that we're onboarding every single year, which involves our curriculum department on, as we're walking around, are the lessons rigorous enough? And we take those things for granted, you know, because we're in the middle of the work, that when we go and travel, they're chasing us down. Like, how did you do this? You know, what kind of commitment? You know, how does the public support it? And how does the taxpayer support it? Have you received any pushback? And we're happy to say, not at all. Because I think they know literacy by 3 is self-explanatory. No one would argue that every child should be reading at or above grade level by 3rd grade.
Well, Sam, thank you so much for being with us today. Congratulations again on your promotion, And we look for great and great things from you and the superintendent, who just came on board also, to move this district forward.
Thank you very much.